Hey Orion, what's up? So, we'll start the stream, eh? We'll start the stream, or can wait for a couple of minutes before I actually start teaching. Yeah, I think we'll wait. Meanwhile, uh, I'll just do some preparations. By the way, I am Pratyush Bhaiya. Hey Pratyush, it's good to know you. Ronit, hello. Siddharth, I'm perfectly fine. I'm more than fine actually because I just finished the animation. I posted it, and I'm finally relieved. It's like a week of. It's like an entire stressful week, because you never know whether you're gonna finish it on time or not. So entire week of confusion, and you don't know whether what's gonna happen by Saturday. And finally, when you finish it and post it, it's a pretty relieving experience. But yeah, so I think I don't know how many viewers we have right now. I'm not looking at the stream, but I think we'll start. So, like the title says, it's a stream about workflow of not workflow, but how to render your 3D objects into 2D in Blender, and we are going to look at inorganic objects. So, inorganic objects means mostly like vehicles or some like anything that is not live, that is not human or animal or anything that is not breathing, right? Um, and one of the reason is because these mechanical objects are easier to model, easier to understand, easier to rig, easier to animate compared to the humans, because humans take a bit more expertise, and you need to have better shape language knowledge, you need to have better shading knowledge, you need to know better rigging. Not like mechanical does not require better rigging, but it's still, if you wanna, for this small workshop, for 1 hour workshop, it's easy to take a small object and convert that into 2D rather than take an entire human and do it. Yeah, so I'll quickly write it down. Let's say what all we're gonna learn in this one and a half hour session, I believe. And during that time, I wouldn't be able to read chat because I'll be focused on teaching. So all the chat messages, everything, all the doubts you have, you can just leave it there. I'll try to cover all of them in the last 15-20 minutes. Maybe I'll finish the entire session in an hour, and then we can take 20 minutes or 15 minutes for all the doubts and confusions and greetings and whatnot. Yeah, so we'll start with basics of grease pencil. So basics of Girish pencil, you know what I mean. Yeah, so, and after that I think we'll do a little bit of modeling, and that too I think only basic. We'll just add a few primitive shapes and try to make something out of it. Then we're gonna learn about line art in Blender. Yeah, and then once we have the line art done, we would need to improve the shading. So then it would be mostly materials and nodes. Now this is a bit tricky for a lot of people, because generally artists don't want to go into these technical terms of nodes and graphs and coding. So this is a bit technical node part. But yeah, I think we'll be fine. And in the end, we'll do some hand drawn effects in grease pencil. Right, so we'll do some hand-on 2D animation in Blender, and you'll come to know how to do that as well. Maybe just 2 or 3 frames. It will not be a lot because it's just FX. So this should be the agenda for today's session. If you want to take a screenshot of this, you can, because this window is gonna go away in a while. Yeah. Also, just a disclaimer: it's an unprepared session. I absolutely did not prepare for it. I have no planning whatsoever. I don't have any pre-made assets for this workshop. Um, it's just gonna be on the fly. So things can be a little bumpy, but we'll see how it goes. Nodes are easy now into 4.2. No. I'll show you something, but not now. But it's not that easy. I mean, if you want to go to the complicated side, nodes can be pretty difficult, especially when it comes to vectors, and then you want to embed trigonometry, and then you want to do vector operations, like all those normalizing vectors, or you want to reflect a vector, or there's shit ton of operations, vector operations, and when you want to do those on shaders, it's a hell lot difficult, at least for my tiny brain. So yeah, we are gonna use Blender 4.2 for this one. I don't know why. It's a bit slow, but for the time, I just have this installed, so we'll use it. Use this anyways. Now, first thing is basics of grease pencil. So for those who don't know about grease pencil, it's a separate object in Blender that is here. If you press Shift A, is it Shift A? Yeah. If Shift A, then you'll see grease pencil, and there are a couple of options: blank, stroke, monkey, scene line art, collection line art, object line art, whatever. We are gonna select stroke. Right. So what it does is it's gonna give you a grease pencil object which is named stroke, and it has a layer to it, which is called lines and colors. Right. There are 2 layers in it. You can see this here in the timeline as well. The 2 layers that we have in the grease pencil object. Now these layers can also be accessed from this panel in the data. In the data panel here, you can lock it, you can hide it, you can turn on the of the onion skin, you can do mask operations, whatever. This is a line layer where you have these line drawn. So if you go to edit mode and press 1 on a keyboard, which is this vertex mode, and if you select anything, you'll see there are a bunch of vertices. So this is where grease pencil is different from the rest of the software. So when you are coming from, let's say, Tone Boom Harmony or Krita or any other 2D painting software, Clip Studio Paint, you would expect something like a canvas and strokes, right? Simple as that. But first of all, it's a 3D space. So you move that 3D space by middle mouse click, shift middle for panning, and control middle for zoom in, zoom out. But yeah, so first of all, it's a 3D space, and then on top of that, when you look at the actual stroke, it's not just a raster stroke that you have drawn on a canvas. It's more like a bunch of vertices that are together, and they just happen to make a line. So if you want to modify this line, you can even move these vertices, or there are a bunch of other tools which you can use to move them, to erase them. You can go to draw mode, and yeah, Blender lag here. Shit, come on. It's just a single object. Yep. So then you can erase it as well. Eraser is not that good. look at this eraser. But yeah, Blender eraser has its own flaws. It's just flaws actually. So Yeah, in short, it's not your conventional line drawing or hand drawn animation software where you get a canvas and some raster pixels. There are no pixels here, there are just vertices, right? So, and you can completely remove it as well. You can select all of these vertices, press X on your keyboard, delete all the points, so there's nothing here. Go to draw mode, and then you can try to draw something, right? At the rate, I'm sick of writing that, but anything. Let's say what's the name out here? Vishal. So we'll write down Vishal, and when you go back to edit mode, you'll see these are just bunch of vertices that we just wrote down. Yeah. And the same way you can have multiple frames. So this is frame 1. You can go to next frame. You can use left and right arrow key for navigation. So you go to next frame and click on go to draw again. Turn on this auto key option. So if you draw, it automatically creates a new keyframe for you. And then we'll write down a different name, which is smart guy. Yeah, so this is 2D animation in a nutshell. Hell yeah, you just learned 2D animation in Blender. Simple stuff. Now we are gonna use this to create line art for our object. So it's a little trick. Let's say we put a cube here, right? A default cube, and we put a grease pencil that is blank. So it's sitting here at the center, and a cube on the top. Now you can select grease pencil and add a modifier called line art. Where is it? Where is it? Do you see it anywhere? Am I missing something? Yeah, here at the center. So line art. Now once you add a line art modifier, it asks you for a material, which could be black 001, and a layer on which it's gonna generate the line art. So it could be a grease pencil layer, which is by default layer that we have got. And we have did everything, but still there's no line art. So that one reason for this is because there is no camera. Grease pencil line art only works from the camera direction. So if you have a camera pointing at something, it will generate the line art only towards the, that view. So if camera rotates, the line art changes along with the camera view. So let's say we put down a camera here, camera, and press Ctrl Alt 0 for the to set the camera. Still we don't have anything. Let's see, because it is set to collection, we are going to set it to scene, and immediately we got a line art for our object, right? But if you notice, there's only line art in the front view, there's nothing in the back, and that is because it works according to the camera. So if you rotate the cube here, you see this, there's a little snap that happens when it starts to generate line art for the other face, because now that face is visible from the camera. Pretty decent, and it works perfectly fine. Even for the faster movements, it just works. So let's say instead of cube, you take a little bit of a complicated object, which is a monkey, and you can see we already have a line art generated for it. It looks horrible though. Even after smooth shading, it still looks horrible, and that is where you come as an artist. You have to decide what should be visible, or which area of this object should have a line art, and which area should be flat or empty, or should not have any line art. Yeah, so that's line art, but it's quite a work. You select a grease pencil and then add a line art modifier and do all these settings, like assign a material and a layer and turn it on to scene. So there's a shortcut for it, and that shortcut is pretty easy. You just go to grease pencil and add scene line art. So it does all those work for you already. If you have a camera setup, it will generate line art for you. Simple as that. Yeah. So that's the basic of grease pencil and line art modifier. Next, modeling. All right. Please don't make the live private. No, it's never gonna go private. Come on. Come on. What you talking about? It's gonna be public forever. So I'm thinking, what do we do now? We'll take a very simple example because I don't wanna overcomplicate the stream with a with like very insane looking model, and then we try to make it in 2D and it doesn't work that way because 1 hour is not enough for it. So what we do is we take this wheel. We'll take a wheel with screws on it, with this kind of details on it, and we're gonna move it. So first we'll have a still wheel and we'll see how to make it look 2D, and then we're gonna move it. So this wheel will start to rotate, or maybe just running at like really high speed and leaving a trail of cloud behind, and a little bit of, you can say, I don't know what is this called. I think it's speed particles or something, but this one and this one. Cloud trail would be can be a bit of a work for 1 hour, because frame by frame animation, and it can take some time if we want to do it decently. But this is simple, so we can make the spikes behind the wheel. So we'll see if we have time. We'll do the clouds as well. Sorry, smoke. So yeah, let's start it. Now I can take a model from Sketchfab and make this easier. How about I take one of the existing models? Or you know what? Leave it. We'll make it. We'll make it from scratch. We do it the hard way. So again, delete everything. The first thing we would need to make the wheel is a torus. So mesh, torus, here it is. Rotate it by 90 degree. To rotate, you have to press RX 90 on your keyboard. What is RX 90? You press R first, right? Do you keep holding R? No, you just press R, release the key, then you press X on your keyboard, again release the key. Do you release it actually? Yeah. So most of the time, when you work, you don't notice you're doing so many things, but when you try to explain, you're like, holy shit, it's that complicated. But yeah, so you press R, release the key, press X, release the key, and then press 90 on your keyboard. So this is rotate. This is in X axis, and this is by 90 degree. So RX 90, if you press on your keyboard while in Blender, it will tell Blender to rotate the particular object or the selected object on X axis by 90 degree. See? Blender is so smart. Now, what if you want to rotate it on y axis? So you press R, Y, 90. What if you want to rotate it on 45 degree angle instead of 90? So R, Y, 45. What if just 2 degrees? R, Y, 2. Simple as that. Same goes for scale. So for scaling, you press S plus X plus 1, 2, 3, whatever. So it's gonna scale the object in X axis by 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, whatever you have pressed. So even you can press 0.1 time, and it's gonna just, if you press 0.1, I think it's gonna descale it or shrink it. RX 0.1, yeah, it's gonna shrink it. Then if you want to move, so G plus X, Y, Z, any axis, plus numbers. Right, so this is for movement. So if I press GX1, it's going to move the object in X axis by 1 unit. Now 1 unit means 1 grid distance. So yeah, there is navigation basic, there is these movement basics, and now I think we should move forward. So GZ1, that will move the torus on Z axis by 1 unit, and we're going to move it further over here. So yeah, our tire is ready. It doesn't look like a tire though, so we can scale it in X axis, Y axis, a bit thick. Yeah, nice. And to make it even better, we can go to edit mode. So you're gonna see these bunch of wire frames. From here you can select this one and this one. Now how do you select it? Just a minute. So you press Alt and click on any of the edge. So it's gonna select the entire edge loop. You got me? You got me right there? It's simple. You have to select this entire edge loop. You press Alt and left click. Yeah. Now if you want to select the other one, Alt Shift, pressing caps lock, Alt Shift, left click. Simple stuff. And you simply scale it. Boom. So now if you scale it, look at what happens. It's scaling in all the directions, so it's going like, in that direction. What I need to do is just move it over here, just on the top, just on the outside a little bit. So shit, this is gonna be even complicated. So now you have learned how to scale, move or rotate things on a particular axis. But if you don't want to move something in X axis, so it's I think I'm right. Yeah. So if you want to move in a particular axis, you press XYZ, right? Simple. But if you don't want to move in XYZ, so you add shift before those letters. So it's like G plus shift plus XYZ. Yeah, plus numbers. That's optional. So that means if I press Shift X, it's gonna move the object, if this is X, in Y and in Z direction, but not in X direction. So that means you have this X axis over here, right? And this is Y, this is Z going upwards. So G Shift X, actually I shouldn't be using X. Let's say GZ moves upward, and I don't want to move this object up. I just want to move it on this plane, the flat 2D plane. So what I can do is G Shift Z. So you see these two axes are locked here, and now you can move it anywhere on this plane and it doesn't go up. Trust me, it looks like it's going up, it doesn't. Check this out. It's still on the same plane that we are. That we put it before. That, I don't know, something. English is difficult. So a new shortcut just joined or entered the chat. That is Shift XYZ. So that is like a negate of a particular axis that you press. So now here's a question for you all. So if I have to scale it in such a way that it scales up and this way, so it scales in both these axes, but it doesn't scale towards this axis, which is the green one, which is obviously Y. So what do I do is S Shift Y. So it's not going to scale in Y axis, and it's just scaling in one single direction. Two directions instead of 3. Check this out. This time it's just vertically up. Otherwise, before it was doing this. So that's there, and this. Yay, we just have a tire. If I keep doing this, I think I'm gonna exceed more than 2 hours for this workshop. I'll have to a little faster. I'll have to be a little faster. Otherwise, it's gonna be difficult for all of us to finish it on time. I'm explaining too much. This is gonna be an entire workshop of 30 hours then. Yeah. So here's the tire. Now let's make the rim and we are good to go. For the rim, I'll add a circle, simple circle. Where is the circle? Here. And I'll go to edit mode, press F to fill all the gaps, to fill this empty hole. And then RX 90, move it upward over here somewhere. Now you want both of them at the center. So easiest solution is to just move it here so that we have these concentric circles, and later we'll move this wheel upwards. Scale it down. GY. Now I want to make both sides of this wheel. So easiest way is to apply a mirror modifier. But nothing happens. Nothing happens because this point, you see the origin of this shape is here. What we really need is to move this origin over here at the center of the world. To do that, you press Ctrl A and freeze or apply its location. So the center moves over here, and now you can flip or mirror the object on the y-axis. What am I missing? What's wrong? All transforms. It's Z? What? How is it Z? Oh, because it has rotation as well. So you need to freeze rotation also. So when you have 0, 0, 0, then you can mirror it on Y. There's a science behind it. I can't explain freezing right now. Freezing or applying of these, what do we call that? These values, because it's gonna take me another 20 minutes or 15 minutes, and we totally gonna run out of time. We are really short on time. E for extrude, and extrude it in. By default, extrude just happens in the perpendicular direction, but you don't know where extrude is going. So use clipping. So when you use clipping, it clips at the center. So these vertices are not moving anywhere, and we have an extra face here. So you delete this face, and done. Good shit. You can even scale it a bit, entire thing. Yeah. And now it's just a matter of doing some insets, again, scaling it or moving it inside, inset again, GY, inset again, GY, inset again, GY, inset. Look at that. I don't know if there is a tire that exists like this, but here it is. We have, I think there is one. I think it looks like those old Fiat car tires, which is fine. Now I remember I told you that we are gonna make it a still wheel first with all these details, but at the moment I don't think that's possible. So how about we directly just go ahead, animate this shit, and learn about some shaders. Because most of the people think that if you gotta convert something 3D into 2D, it has to do a lot with the line art. You know, those black color outlines. Whenever you add it anywhere, shit looks insanely 2D. No, that's not true. It has to do a lot with the way your model looks. So it can be the kind of shadows it casts, it can be the kind of shading that happens on the model itself, it can be the colors, it can be all the flat surfaces that you add, right? So 2D is a lot flatter than you than you think. Uh, in 3D, we get a lot of extra details, that makes it look uncanny. That wouldn't make your artwork definitely look 2D, right? So it's important to learn shading if you want to do some 2D look and feel models, artworks, whatever. Let's just push it down. No, not this one, this one. What the hell? This looks bad. Yeah. 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 Okay. Alright, so what do we have here? Yeah, now we need a plane. Oh, what the hell? Yeah, don't accidentally press GZ11, otherwise it's gonna fly away somewhere. I don't know where. Here. Who's calling? Look at these people. Don't let me leave in peace. Look at this. Look at this dude. They're still calling me. They know I won't attend their call, but they're still calling me. Anyway, so be sure you press the right numbers, otherwise you're gonna your model can just disappear from the viewport. Yeah, add a plane here. Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah. Now, we need to add outlines. Let's do it then. Shift A, camera. It's important to set up camera every time you add outlines to the blender. And since we all are like, you know, Insta addicts, all the Insta addicts are here. So why not keep the resolution vertical instead of horizontal? Nobody's a YouTube addict here. We all are cursed by the app of Instagram. So I think this resolution would look more comfortable. And once you have the camera set up, just add grease pencil, scene line art. Yeah, you can even do collection line art if you have multiple objects. Let's say, so if there is a scene where there is background and model, your main model in the front, and then you have a chariot, and then you have Arjun standing on chariot, and then you have Lord Krishna flying, floating in the air. So like, shit, how many objects can this line art take? And let's say you want different colored or different style of outline for all of them. So then comes the collection line art, where you split them into multiple collections, and then you assign line art based on those collections. It's a little not little advanced, but it's just a different technique. So anyways, I think we'll just learn it here. So we have the line art here, and everything just looks shit. Everything doesn't look good. Nothing looks 2D. Nothing even looks good in 3D. It's just an abomination right now. So just to get a little bit of a feel of it, you know, you need a bit of a feel. How do you know it's working? So turn on the flat mode in shading. So you go here, and in viewport shading you turn on the flat, and immediately things start to look a bit better. And then you go to viewport colors and make it either white or just the same color as this. So now it start to look like a flat paper with a bit of lines on it. Yeah, immediately you got a bit of a 2D feel. You're like, oh shit, is it hand drawn? No, it's not hand drawn. So other than that, you still see this, you know, 3D environment around the camera. It's off-putting. So you go to camera settings, go to viewport display, in this setting called pass part out. Yeah, pass whatever. You make it 1 completely. So it's all black. It's like a complete sheet of paper now. On Instagram resolution, hell yeah, nothing can be better than this. And you have these lines going on. Now Next step. So you see this and you're like, ah shit, too many lines, you know, this is not good. It's too many lines here. So if you turn on the shading again to studio mode, and let's disappear, let's hide the line art for a while. So you see all these hard edges here. So line art has a setting here, this one, contour, crease threshold. So it's like wherever you have these sharp lines, it has a threshold at what angle will line art start to avoid it. So I think if you decrease it or increase it, nothing works. Interesting. Anyways, we don't need to bother about it. But yeah, it has this setting where it can detect the threshold of the sharp lines. So one easiest solution is to just make it shade smooth instead of shade auto smooth. So shade auto smooth adds this modifier to your object, which makes this line sharp. So you can even increase the threshold from here. You see those two extra lines we just got? But if you just remove it completely, and it's just normal shade smooth. Here, you won't see those many lines now. Look at that. It's much more simplified. One more point about 2D drawings or 2D animation is our models or characters or drawings are simplified compared to the real life things. And one major reason is the number of lines you have in 2D animation, the more work it is. So we tend to reduce the number of lines, so it's easier for us to move or draw those lines frame by frame. Yeah, so if you want to mimic that style, you have to use the same kind of analogy here to reduce the number of lines, but still make it look good. Yeah. So let's see what all lines are important for us. I think if we don't need this, this small line here, it's just a small bevel, but we can definitely use a line here, this one. This looks important, and this is anyways being covered by the height of this inner bump. So I think this line should be there. So what do? Is we go to edit mode, select that ring by alt left clicking and right click to make it sharp. Remember I told you whatever is sharp, grease pencil automatically adds a line there, right? So now we have a line here. Or if you're still not sure, maybe your model grease pencil doesn't detect the sharpness, and from a weird camera angles it changes or whatever. So to hard code it for grease pencil to always draw a line here, you can right click and you can mark it freestyle edge. So now grease pencil will know that this line is important. So no matter, let me just rotate it. At what angle you rotate it from, you'll always see the line. You'll always see the line. All those extra lines, they are kind of appearing, disappearing, but this stays. Right, so pretty interesting. And now it looks even better. Now I think we can just add one more line. This one, even mark it as a freestyle. What just happened? Extra. And it looks good. It looks fine. We don't need the line for this plane though, right? It's a background. So you can press M by selecting that plane and move it to a new collection, and that new collection can be called ENV, environment. So now it's in a different environment, and we can go to grease pencil line art modifier here, and instead of scene we can select collection. So now it's gonna just create outlines on a selected collection. So from here you select the collection, and that is this normal collection that we have. So no outlines for the environment and only outlines for the object. What you see here is actually a viewport generated. So if you turn off the outline here, you'll see nothing. Pretty good, eh? Pretty good. And that's all about line art. I mean, on such a short duration. There's a lot more, but this should keep you going for a couple of examples. And now we're gonna move to shading to make it even look. It's like we're gonna color it now. Do you guys have lunch? I mean, did you have lunch? Okay, so let's move forward. Let's move forward then. Now you wanna view all the colors. You wanna color this model. So this studio mode will not work anymore. To do that, what is it? What is it called? Viewport shading. So this viewport shading will not work. So to make it or to color it, right? You either have to go to viewport what this is also called viewport shading. I think this is called developer. No, there was a name for it. I don't know, but something. Is it written over here? Material preview, solid. Ah, so it is here at the bottom. So you either go to material preview or you go to render view. So the difference between material preview and render view is this is how it's gonna render as a final thing. So if you press F12, which is render your scene, this is what you get. But in material mode, they already have an HDRI setup for you. So based on that HDRI, you get the kind of shadows or lighting in your scene. So if you don't want to set up your final scene right now, then I would suggest just work in the material mode until you are ready to set up your final scene, and then you can just do it for you. Till then, we'll work here. It already cast a shadow for us, which is good because we would ultimately need a shadow for this wheel. I think this is fine. And if you want some ground shadow, all that ambient occlusion kind of thing, you can turn on ray tracing. This is only available in 4.2. Before this, there was another option called ambient occlusion in 4.1 and former. But this is really slow, so I like to turn it off while I'm working. So you get this, a little bit of this ambient occlusion below the wheel. Now let's color it. So now, so far we were working in layout. Now we switch to shading mode. Oh shit, only 15 minutes left. So you go to shading mode, and here you see at the bottom you have this what this is called, shader editor. So in shader editor you add all your nodes and colors and stuff and materials, whatever those nerds do. So unfortunately you gotta do it too now. You select the outer this rubber and click on new. So there's new material assigned to it. Now you can select a color, boom, whatever color you want. If you want a blue color tire, here you go. Perfect. And it still gives you kind of a 3D feel. You see this lighting? So this lighting is a culprit here. So what if I just make it completely black without any specular, because specular reflects the light, and I go to emission, and from here I increase the strength to 1, so this is completely white now, and make it somewhere, let's say this, not completely black but a little grey and a bluish tint to it. It's coming, it starts to look like one. Yeah. For the rim as well, we'll select a new material. Base color would be black. We don't want to do anything with specular as well. We don't need this viewport shading shit. This 3D shading kind of thing. This will spoil your entire 2D feel, 2D look. So if you wanna make a really good 2D looking render in 3D, get away from this by default 3D shading. You'll have to make your own shading here. We'll learn that as well. Go to emission, make it little gray, strength 1, and we want to achieve kind of a steel color. Something like this. And the inner part can be a little dark because it's like a hollow space. It's like it's empty here, or there's a hole here. So to reflect that, select this part, make a new material from what is it called now? From material panel, of course, and we'll call it steel 1. This is called steel 2, and we'll make it even darker. But now you notice that nothing's changing. Why is nothing changing? That's because we haven't assigned it. So select the face and assign that material. So now you see the change in the color, and we'll make it like something like this. Come on, Blender, come on. You can't be this laggy on such a small example. Yeah, look at this. So you have a flat object that's standing still. What if you wanna set it into motion? So let's say we'll go back to paper. If anything's moving really fast, let's say you see some anime where cars moving really fast or stuff like this. So you would notice that you will have these kind of speed lines. On the wheels, right? So this line that they have drawn, these lines, they don't move actually on every frame. It's just these speed lines that move and gives you illusion of movement. Yeah. So we need to replicate this, and there are multiple ways actually to do that. One of the easiest way is to take a grease pencil object, blank, and you draw on it. Like so. But it's not drawing on the wheel. To do that, you go to origin and surface, right? And then you draw on the wheel. There's a little bit too much of a gap. Let's see if we can fix that. This, it is closer. So I think we have to be closer to the object to draw it. Yeah. Furthermore, so we can be this close, and then you can go down to surface options and reduce this offset from 0.1 to 0.05. And now if you draw some speed lines, it should be pretty close to the surface, and when you see it from the camera, it looks good because it's hand drawn. So it will further increase the illusion that this entire thing is 2D and not some 3D object. So this is one technique. Another one is actually go into the shader and add a bunch of noise node, math node, vector nodes, gradient nodes, and masking nodes to make it look like those speed lines. If I show you a simple example, yeah, this one. How much time do we have left? 11 minutes. I think we are almost there. Yeah, so it should look something like, yeah, something like this. It's not a very complicated graph. It's a medium level graph. You can, I would say beginner actually. Once you know about nodes, then you can make it easily. But since if I have to do it first time or make it for the people who are first timers in it, it requires a bit more explanation than the time we have. So for the time's sake, I would say it's easier to just draw it on top of this wheel. So now, so far we just know how to draw outlines. We never actually have drawn anything filled object. Yeah, so now let's explore that. So you go to materials, and this time you'll see a different kind of material panel, because this is for grease pencil. So you have a stroke and a fill tab, where on the other objects, if you select, you don't get to see anything like that. So grease pencil has a altogether different material tab here. Now we don't want stroke, we want fill, and that too, you don't want it transparent. We want the alpha to be 1, and it should be white color. Don't worry, if color doesn't look right, we can later change it. And let's draw some speed lines here. Nice. And I think it's pretty close. It's fine. Since our camera is not moving, I think we should be fine. So this is one, and now we need timeline. So open up a new tab here, look at timeline and add a second frame. And this frame will be little different. So we need onion skin as well. To turn on the onion skin, I think you go here and click on onion skin. Yeah, simple stuff. Now this one should be a little different. So spikes can be reverse in this. And why stop at 2? We'll make third one as well. Very nice. Yeah. Right, so if you play it now, boom, looks good, looks good. So we just need to duplicate these frames, or there's another way we can add a modifier on top of this grease pencil, and that, so this is a different grease pencil, just know that. A line art grease pencil is totally different. We are not touching it at all. There is no custom drawings in it. It is only there for us to generate the line art on objects. If you want to draw further, then we create a different grease pencil. You can create like 10-20 grease pencil, each one of them for a different action or different animation. You don't have to stick to one. But yeah, I was adding a offset modifier, time offset modifier. So what this does is, once you turn on the keep loop and custom range on, so you can mark the number of frames that it should loop, and you can say from 1 to 3. So 1 to 3. And there is no offset, so offset should be 0. So if you play it now, hey, look at that. It's a bit too fast. So we would increase the spacing between the frames by 1, and then our end frame will change from 3 to 5. Yeah, this is nice. So along with this, we can add a few more lines. Let's add one here. Oh. 1, 2, and 3. Right. I'm not sure about this one. Maybe we'll remove it later. And now for the color. If we just select this color, then we'll get a little darker grease pencil, but come on now. Come on now. It's just color palette. Yeah, something like this. Good, good, good. Instead of these, right? Instead of adding them here, you can add them towards the back. So delete this, this, and this, and instead add them here somewhere. Look at that. Now it still doesn't look it's moving. I mean it does a slight bit, but still the background is plain, and nothing else is moving, so it's difficult to imagine. But we can add a similar set of colors to the rim as well. So let's just do it real quick. I'll add a new grease pencil for that, and I'll use the same surface draw method on this one as well. And we need to copy the same modifier from here. So I think what we can do is select this and that, and right click, Control L, sorry, and copy modifiers. Yeah, that works. Right. Now we'll do something about this plane real quick, because we need to show the movement, and unless the ground moves, we won't be able to show that. So let's scale it real further, so it's away from the camera. And in this one we'll add a, okay, I just added a key here. Make sure you turn off this auto key whenever you don't need it, otherwise it's gonna create all these unnecessary keys. It's gonna be real pain in the ass to remove them later. So anyways, for the plane, we'll add a new material and we'll call it ground. We'll do a very basic one here. We'll add a noise texture and plug it to base. You see something? Yeah, you already see that, these lines. And to enhance it even more, we add a ramp node, color ramp node, and bring them closer so that it's even more intense. Now with this, we'll increase the scale by, I think, 30. Yeah, and we need to stretch it even more. It looks ugly. So what do? Is press Ctrl T after selecting the noise texture, and you have to see which scale works here. It's the X scale. So something like this. But now it's not moving. It has to move. To move it, if you go to this location and you move it, then it gives you a feel that the ground is moving. So you press I here to add a keyframe, go to your timeline, press Ctrl T to go to, Control Tab, not Control T, to go to graph editor, in the graph editor, select the shader node tree, select the X value, go to modifiers, add a modifier called generator, and decrease its value from 1 to 0.5 or maybe 0.1 something. If you make it too slow, let's say 0.001, also it's going in opposite direction, so we need to negate the value. Now minus 0.1 should be good enough. Yeah, look at that. But there's a problem. Where's the ground shadow? This wheel has no shadow, and that's why it looks so blank. It looks like it's moving all together on a different plane. So one thing we need to do is reduce the blackness in the ground. Yeah, so that wheel is more evident. And for the shadow, we already have a shadow. We just need to look at a better HDRI. Yeah, something like this, or maybe something like this. Right. But it would be better if we have a shadow on the other side, toward the other end. So let's say we can rotate this HDRI. Can we? Yeah, we can. Yeah, something like this. Right, so now we have a shadow, we have a plane moving, and all we need is a smoke and a little bit of trail towards it. Also, this line, it looks a bit too flat, right? It's not moving. It doesn't look like actually the wheel is moving. So it would be nicer if these lines can move as well. So instead of adding those trails first, because you have already seen me how to draw speed lines, so you would know how to make the trails as well. It's just the same thing. You add a grease pencil and make a few strokes here, and you run them in loop by adding a time offset, so it looks like some sort of trail. For the outlines though, what we can do is go to line art. Here, decrease the thickness by 1, so it's barely visible, and instead of you go to this data panel, and in the strokes, what the fuck was that vehicle? It must be an auto or something. Holy shit. So anyways, from the stroke options, instead of world space, you select 2D space, screen space. Now, what's the difference? In world space, if your object is farther away from camera, then your outline will shrink, or it will look thin. If it's near to the camera, the outlines get really thick. But with the screen space, it stays consistent all over. Let me explain you. If I have to increase the thickness from 1 to 5, or maybe just 25. So check this out. Let me scale it up. So you see this, the outline of the closer object is bigger, and the further it goes, it just becomes smaller. But if I select screen space, then it stays consistent all over. And this is one thing that a lot of us also forget, that when we draw on a paper, our brush stroke never changes with the depth of our drawing. So it stays consistent whether the hand is towards the camera or away from the camera. Right, so this makes much more sense, adding these kind of lines. Now we can reduce the thickness from 25 to 1, or maybe 2, and then you add a thickness modifier on top of it. So now you can increase or decrease the thickness from this modifier. But what's the advantage? You are already doing it from here. The advantage is if you go to influence and custom curve, you can add your own curve, like a sort of wiggly lines, something like this. So now you have thick and thin lines everywhere. And on top of that, what you can really do is add a noise modifier. Where's noise? Where's noise? Where's noise? Out here. Now, if you play it, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad so far. But we can change the noise and not move the position at all, because it's just moving the entire line. So we don't want to do that. Actually, we want to, but not this much. So maybe instead of 0.5, we'll do 0.1. And there's something called scale UV strength. Now, yeah, noise scale. So if we increase it to 1, you see we start to get wiggle in between the line rather than it shifting the entire line off. So let me increase the value to 1 and the scale as well. You see the noise map getting smaller here. So we would like to have this then the bigger noise map, and now it moves as well. But it doesn't move at the speed of the speed line. So we need to decrease the gap from 4 steps to 2 steps. And now it's moving. It's moving. To make it even more 2D, because the background doesn't look 2D, what we're gonna do is this thing, instead of linear interpolation, make it constant. So now you have these more, crystal clear lines over there in the background. Yeah. Nice. If you render it, yeah, the outline is fine. We can still reduce the thickness from 4 to 2, I believe. Or yeah, 2 is fine. Alright, so now we can animate the shadow as well. We can add a bit of jiggle to the shadow. That's also possible. We would need to cast it on a different plane and then add a displacement modifier on the plane so that the plane moves a bit, and set it to 2 frames, so it moves every 2 frames, and then it will look like the shadows also wiggling along with the wheel. And then furthermore, we can add these trails behind the wheel, and then we can add smoke trails as well. So when you mix all of that, I think you can see already where I'm going with this. When you keep adding these extra stuff on top of each other, it start to look like it's really hand-drawn and not a 3D object. One more thing though, I think one simple stuff I can still explain you is this tire is a bit too flat, right? So wouldn't it be nice if it's darker below and brighter above? So to do that, we'll use a gradient node. Right, so this gradient node works like this. If you rotate it, so it's at the bottom. This is simpler solution. So I would say use the simpler solution for now. I don't want to complicate stuff right now. So -90. And now it gives you this ambient occlusion kind of feel. But again, it's generated by you. Made by you. It's not computer generated. So it has a more appeal to it. It has a greater chance that it will look like human made rather than something, just that machine made. And with this gradient, we add a ramp, color ramp node. So we can get different values for black and white, black and white colors. For the dark color, we'll pick our color from here and drop it here on the black. For the brighter one, we can again drop the color from here and change it a bit. Make it a bit brighter. No, actually it should be other way. We should make this darker, completely something like this. And this one a bit brighter. Yeah. Same can be done for the rim as well. So gradient texture, ramp. And you might say, whether isn't this gradient going to rotate along with the wheel? No, but because it's not the color of the wheel, it's the shadow that ground is casting on the wheel. It's that absence of light. Oh, we are doing it in a wrong material. We need to do it in steel 1 instead. Color ramp. Color, let's see the gradient. By the way, if you want to see what how this node is behaving, you press Control Shift left click to see the result directly instead of otherwise by default this is what you see, the principal BSDF. But if you just want to see this particular node and what color is it applying on the object, then you press Control Shift left click. And same for this one, we'll just rotate it RY minus 90 and drop our color here, this one and on this one. This one little darker and this one a little lighter. And there you go, the final result. Oof. So we took around like 1 hour 10 minutes. It's pretty decent for creating something from scratch, and you get the idea the amount of time it takes, or it's gonna take you to make the entire animation out of this method. Why is it black though? Why the inner part is black? What did I mess up? Oh, I need to connect this. Yeah, so that's it. Also, if we make a custom shadow catcher, let's say we cast this shadow on a plane and then we modify that plane, we can have this disappear. We can have this shadow disappear, because right now it's just one single hard surface line, but it doesn't look so aesthetic. So we can change that as well. But that's gonna be a bit of a tricky stuff. Also, you would need to know more about shader nodes as well. So maybe I'll make a new workshop or another workshop for all that stuff. I think I can make an entire live stream sessions, not single live stream, just to teach you guys how to work with shader nodes. But yeah, that's the example. So if you guys have any question, you can just ask. I think I'm gonna be here till I answer all the questions, and that's it. That's the end of the stream. Siddharth says, great work, man. Really loved it. Thanks a lot, brother. Thanks a lot. Notes are actually easy. Already read that. Hello, smart guy. Hi again today. Hey, Vishal. From where do you upload animation on Instagram, mobile or PC? I upload it from mobile. I transfer the file from PC to mobile and then upload it from mobile. And how you maintain the quality? It's just simple. I just upload it, export it as at a maximum possible quality, and then upload it from mobile device. Is Clip Studio also good for 2D animation? It is. I am using it. It has improved a lot, especially with the recent updates. Clip Studio Paint 3 has improved a lot in terms of animation. Although playback can go a little janky sometimes, because it's still, it uses layers and everything. So when you have thousands of layers in a single file, your playback can get a little messy. So that's the downside. Otherwise, it's pretty good. Also, if you import like image sequence or MP4, then it start to lag as well, only when you play the animation, not as a drawing. As a drawing software, it's pretty good. You would never feel lag while drawing on Clip Studio Paint, and that's what I like the most. In OpenToons, it lags, but it start to lag when you're drawing. So your drawings start to get messed up because of the software, and that's why I think Clip Studio Paint is a better solution. Of course, OpenToons is free software; it's open source, so there's obviously a difference. Easiest lesson about Blender till now? I don't think so. I, I don't think so. If I would watch this video again, I don't think so. It will be that easy to understand. Man, there are so many concepts, so many things to explain. I feel cylinder works best for any circular or cylindrical modeling. I even use cylinder to model something similar to sphere too. Yeah. Cylinder is good, but with torus it's like you just get that default tire shape by itself. Cylinder for the rim though, yeah, definitely. Madhur, hello. Clip Studio Paint EX is, yeah, that's true. Just had a lunch. Yeah, good for you, man. I ate too. Material view. Yeah, it's called material view. Yeah. How can we add highlight in grease pencil? Adding highlights in grease pencil, shading, right? So if you're talking about this particular example, then adding highlights will be from shaders. You can't do it from grease pencil because here you see there's a curved surface, and grease pencil doesn't work really well with curved surface. If I draw grease pencil from here to here, it will just go through the object. It's like it selects all the vertices and creates a flat plane between those vertices. It doesn't curve around the edge, so that's the problem. So here it will be totally through the shaders, and that's where things get really bad. Any animation, 3D animation, if you try to convert it into 2D without shading, it will work fine. But once you start to add shading to it, let's say you want shadow for the face or for the tires itself, for stuff like that, it will start to look really bad. 3D shadows somehow, when converted into 2D, doesn't give that appeal of the hand drawn stuff, because we don't draw shadows like that, and that is one of the reason why in many of my 3D animation, or almost all of my 3D animation, you won't see any sort of shadows. Even if there are shadows, they are hand painted textures on the models. So what I do is I go to texture and I paint the texture here like this. And since this object never rotates, so the highlight stays there and gives you the feel that it's a highlight on a moving object. So it's a little trick that I use, or there can be other ways as well. Like you can convert the diffuse map into RGB, and then you can adjust the values to make it look like 2D. But still, again, if it's shadow generated over a 3D object, somehow it will give you a feel of 3D. So that's where it will start to ruin your look and feel. But yeah, I hope that this session helped you in learning a little bit or achieving a little bit about what you guys are doing. And that's it. I think that's it from me for today. The next live stream will be on Monday night, so there will be no live stream tomorrow night and Sunday, and I'll see you guys again on Monday night then. You guys go ahead and have a good day. Bye bye.